Page 176. 2, continued Aunt Beatrice. Beezus nodded because she, too, had an autograph album. Well, your mother, who was always very sensible, saved her allowance and bought a beautiful album with a red cover stamped in gold. How I envied her. As soon as your Aunt Beatrice got her allowance, she always ran right over to the school store and spent it, added Mother. Yes, and on the most awful junk, agreed Aunt Beatrice. Licorice whips and pencils that were square instead of round, and I don't know what all. Yes, but what about the autograph album? Beezus asked. Well, Oh, I'm almost ashamed to tell it, said Aunt Beatrice. Oh, go on, urged Mother. It's priceless. Well, when I saw your mother with that brand new autograph album that she bought because she was so sensible, I was annoyed because I wanted one too, and I hadn't saved my allowance. And then she asked me if I'd like to sign my name in it. It was my night to set the table, added Mother. I never should have left her alone with it. But what happened? Beezus could hardly wait to find out. I sat down at the desk and picked up a pen, planning to write on the last page. By hook or by crook, I'll be the last in your book, said Aunt Beatrice. Oh, did people write that in those days, too? Beezus was surprised, because she had thought this was something very new to write in an autograph album. But I didn't write it, continued Aunt Beatrice. I just sat there wishing I had an autograph album. And then I took the pen and wrote my name on every single page in the book. Aunt Beatrice, you didn't. Not in Mother's brand new autograph album. Beezus was horrified and delighted at the same time. What a terrible thing to do. She certainly did, said Mother, and not just plain Beatrice Haswell either. She wrote Beatrice Ann Haswell, Miss B. Haswell, B.A. Haswell, Esquire, and everything she could think of. When she couldn't think of any more ways to write her name, she started all over again. Oh, Aunt Beatrice, how perfectly awful, exclaimed Beezus, with a touch of admiration in her voice. Yes, wasn't it? Agreed Aunt Beatrice. I don't know what got into me. And what did Mother do? Inquired Beezus, eager for the whole story. We had a dreadful quarrel, and I got spanked, said Aunt Beatrice. Your mother didn't love me one little bit for a long, long time. And I wouldn't admit it, but I felt terrible because I had spoiled her autograph album. Fortunately, Christmas came along about that time, and we were both given albums, and that put an end to the whole thing. Why, thought Beezus, Aunt Beatrice used to be every bit as awful as Ramona. And yet, look how nice she is now. Beezus could scarcely believe it. And now Mother and Aunt Beatrice, who had quarreled when they were girls, loved each other and thought the things they had done were funny. They actually laughed about it. Well, maybe when she was grown up, she would think it was funny that Ramona had put eggshells in one birthday cake and baked her rubber doll with another. Maybe she wouldn't think Ramona was so exasperating after all. Maybe that was just the way things were with sisters. A lovely feeling of relief came over Beezus. What if she didn't love Ramona all the time? It didn't matter at all. She was just like any other sister. Mother, whispered Beezus, happier than she had felt in a long time. I hope Ramona comes back before we have my birthday cake. Don't worry, Mother said, smiling. I'm sure she wouldn't miss it for anything. And sure enough, in a few minutes, Ramona appeared from the bedroom and took her place at the table. I can behave myself, she said. It's about time, observed Father. Beezus watched Ramona eating her cold mashed potatoes and jelly and thought how much easier things would be now that she could look at her sister when she was exasperating and think, ha ha, Ramona, this is one of those times when I don't have to love you. Girls with birthdays don't have to help clear the table, said Mother, beginning to carry out the dishes. Beezus waited expectantly for the most important moment of the day. She heard her mother take the cake out of its box and strike a match to light the candles. Oh, she breathed happily when Mother appeared in the doorway with a cake in her hands. It was the most beautiful cake she had ever seen, pink with a wreath of white roses made of icing, and 10 pink candles that threw a soft, glowing light on Mother's face. Happy birthday to you, sang Mother and Father and Aunt Beatrice and Ramona. Happy birthday, dear Beezus, happy birthday to you. Make a wish, said Father. Beezus paused a minute. Then she closed her eyes and thought, I wish all my birthdays would turn out to be as wonderful as this one finally did. She opened her eyes and blew as hard as she could. Your wish is granted, cried Aunt Beatrice, smiling across the 10 smoking candles. Happy birthday, dear Beezus. Happy birthday to you, sang Ramona at the top of her voice. All right, Ramona, said Mother, with a touch of exasperation in her voice. Once is enough. But at that moment, Beezus did not think her little sister was exasperating at all.